I use the term broken record to the point where I sound like a broken record. And I have been talking about for the longest time the folks who are the news media and why I despise them, because I want to know what planet they're on, what protocol they follow, what's their sense of importance, why are some things interesting. Virginia Giuffre is dead. And I have to remind these people, do you know who she was? I'm going to keep saying this until maybe somebody acknowledges this. I understand. I mean, I keep hearing about the judges who harbored MS-13 and TDA. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I got it. Would you please talk about who Virginia Giuffre is? Who was she? What did she have to do with the biggest trafficking, honeypot, extortion, blackmail operation in history? The media just want to move on. It's like something they can't taste or a sound they can't hear. But we're not. People like you and me, we're not. There are more of us than them. We run the show right now. We do, not them. We represent the conspiratorium. We represent a group of people who understand that this nonsense that we've been fed about how the country works has something to do with reality. We will not forget this. It doesn't add up. None of it does, and we're going to keep telling you until somebody says, okay, what would you like us to do? Investigate it. This woman was not some random minor player. She was the key witness, the brave survivor, the sole survivor, really, who stared down billionaires, politicians, princes, powerful perverts. She exposed Jeffrey Epstein. She pointed the finger at the highest level of global power. She named names when no one else dared. And now when new investigations are heating up, when the Epstein client list is hanging over the establishment's head like a guillotine, when she was about to announce more, she's gone. She's dead. She's through. Finished. Expunged. Ablated. Gone. Whacked at 41 years old. Alone in Australia. At least I think that's what the story is. And what are we told? Suicide. That's it. She was found unresponsive. Thank you. She will be missed. No foul play suspected. Case closed. Move along. Nothing to see here. Just move along. We knew more about Gene Hackman's living conditions than this woman. We knew about he lived in squalor, and the wife was a pig, and the hantavirus, and the rodents, and the dog, but nothing about her. Who found her? Where are these people? Are you satisfied with this? Virginia Giuffre didn't survive Jeffrey Epstein. This is the most. She didn't survive him. Ghislaine Maxwell, media smear campaigns, death threats, lawsuits, years of brutal legal battles. She didn't just to wake up one morning and say, you know what? I'm giving up. That's it. I'm through. I'm done. This is a woman who had PR agencies. She had people who were trying to craft her words, craft her message. And she's going to just end it? Especially after that weird, I don't know what that. Listen, if you told me right now that picture that we saw of her in the hospital, that was a death shot, that was a morgue shot, I would say I believe it. That's what I thought it was. And after that was over, where she says, I'm glad to be alive and I'm glad to see my kids. And it was the weirdest thing also. I don't know if she wrote it, who wrote it. She could have been dead then. You think that's impossible? The woman fought for her kids. She fought for other survivors. She fought when the entire system was stacked against her. And she's supposed to just say, all right, I've had enough. Not even so much as a goodbye, cruel world. Nothing. And yet, the mainstream media, these worthless people, worthless. They all write the same stuff. When George Santos, that creep, when his story came out, did everybody pledge that they would have to say the disgraced Congressman George Santos? Is that it? The mainstream media, the same clowns who spent years covering up for Epstein, who reported the fact that he committed suicide when he didn't. They're now rushing to bury the story faster than you can say, well, pick your story. Not one deep dive, not one panel demanding an independent investigation, nothing. Nothing from the DOJ, nothing from Pam Bondi, nothing from anybody, nothing from any of the victims associations of people who would say, wait a minute, she's one of ours, you cannot dispatch her. No. What about David Boies, her lawyer? I mean, is anybody saying we are going to Australia the way congressmen went to El Salvador or Venezuela or wherever the hell they went to try to secure the release of the TDA and MS-13? Not one serious voice in the so-called free press is questioning how someone this critical and this important to one of the biggest scandals in modern history dies alone under sketchy, weird, dodgy, funky circumstances. Why? Because they don't want the truth. It's that simple. They want silence. And they want you numb and distracted and compliant and frozen. And ask yourself, how was it that Epstein, the linchpin of an international blackmail ring involving the rich and powerful, committed suicide in federal custody under cameras that magically stopped working with guards who magically fell asleep in a prison that magically didn't have any means of handling or of taking him off of suicide watch when he was in a cell with somebody who was originally going to be sentenced for facing the death penalty, an ex-cop who happens to rough him up, who lo and behold is moved and dispatched, and the death penalty is waived. Almost like you did us a favor. What did you do? Oh, nothing. Nothing? Why would you? Why? This was the most. 4 people killed this ex-cop. Oh, I don't know. Nobody even looks. If this was a movie, if you were watching this on TV, you'd say, the cop whacked him. Or this is if you were just reading a mystery novel. And now the woman who is going to bring up even more dirt to light, who settled but never stopped fighting, conveniently dies before she can blow the doors off the remaining secrets? And they want you to think this is normal. They want you to think this is just how things happen, but it's not. It's not. This reeks to high heaven. It absolutely reeks of the same cover-up stench and funk that we smelled when Epstein was found dead in that cell. And Bill Barr looked at you and said, suicide to me. When Michael Baden said repeatedly, hyoid fracture, thyroid cartilage fracture, petechial hemorrhaging. I mean, you've been through this before. It's the same funk. It reeks of the same institutional rot that lets predators like Epstein and Maxwell thrive in the first place. And you and I are talking about it. Other folks are talking about it. Great streamers, if you will. Neo-journalists. I don't know what they're called. And yet, what are we talking about? If I hear one more argument, one more, Dave Smith, Charles Murray, Joe Rogan, arguing about, I'm sorry, please, the same Israel-Gaza arguments over and over. They just want to see people scream. That's important. Nothing's being accomplished. Nothing's changing one way or the other. This is brand new. And if anything, and it's like these folks who, I know some people, unless Israel is somehow connected in the story, they're not interested. Nothing exists. And this is, by the way, Israel, the Palestinian. So what if I said, okay, Ehud Barak, Les Wexner, Epstein, Dershowitz, not as a predator, but involved in this, representing all these people. Does that get your attention? I mean, Virginia was reportedly preparing new public statements. She was allegedly working with people digging deeper into Epstein's connections, and others as well, in terms of intel. She was reportedly talking about survival, or her survival, I should say, after a near-fatal car accident. I guess, whatever that was. She was posting about how precious life was. She was not. She wasn't giving signals that she was ready to throw in the towel. In fact, she even said on social media, "I'm not going to consider offing myself. If anything happens to me, there's foul play." But suddenly she's gone and nobody says anything, and the media dare not to tell us anything, not to question it. They want to frame anyone who even raises an eyebrow as some crazy conspiracy theorist. They want you to believe that skepticism in the face of glaring inconsistencies is somehow dangerous or unpatriotic. I don't know. I can't figure this out. Sorry. We're the conspiratorium. We're not buying it. We've heard this over and over again. Not now, not ever. Virginia Giuffre stood toe-to-toe with monsters. She risked everything. She's not perfect, but look what they did to her. Look what they did to her in her life as a child. She wasn't playing a game. She was fighting a war, a real war, a war against the elite, the connected cabal, these perverts and pederasts and pedophiles, and these horrible, treacherous people that would do anything to protect itself. And now in the critical moment, when the pressure was starting to mount, when survivors were regrouping, when governments were starting to hint at real investigations into Epstein network, guess what? We lose her. She's gone. She's gone because of suicide. That's it. Nothing to see here. Move along. And no one in the mainstream media even blinks. It's beyond shameful. It's horrid. Absolutely shameful. And we know why they won't cover this properly. We understand it. We get it. We're not stupid, because covering it properly would expose the very institutions they serve. Because digging too deep would reveal the names, the big names, the politicians, the CEOs, the big tech bigwigs, the muckety-mucks, the entertainers, the tech giants, of foreign intel agencies, foreign intel figures, and yes, even royalty. Virginia's death isn't just a tragedy, it's a warning. It's a message and a warning to anyone who even thinks about standing up to the system. It says to you, we can get to you. We got to Epstein, we'll get to her, it doesn't matter. And even on the other side of the world, even after the headlines die down, we'll get you, and we'll wait. We're very patient. And the timing is too perfect. The silence is too coordinated. And the questions are too loud to ignore. And we won't ignore them. We know how they play this game. We've been talking about this forever, but we're crazy, right? See, the American people deserve to know. Who was Virginia Giuffre working with in her final days? You think they're going to come forward now? Hell no. And I advise them also, like most people, be even more careful. What new information was she preparing to reveal? What was different? Who stood to lose the most if she spoke again? Well, let me tell you something. The people who did this to her are going to pay big time now, because this was kind of dying down. And if they were smart, they would have just let her go away. Okay, let her, look, you made your money. Here she comes again, more problem. Okay. But no, they kill her now. Whatever interest was lost or whatever interest dissipated is now alive and well. Was there pressure? Was there intimidation? You better believe it. Were there threats? Yeah. We're not talking about a woman who was isolated or depressed or defeated. We're talking about a mother, a fighter, a person, by the way, who became every time she had to speak before anybody, she became more and more resolute and more concerned and more focused. A fighter, a survivor who had every reason to live and every reason to keep exposing the very people who hurt her and her countless friends and others. Yet the same machine that covered up for Epstein, the same machine that downplayed Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, the same machine that called anyone asking real questions a conspiracy theorist, a.k.a. a nut, now wants to tell you to shut down and shut up. No. We're not going anywhere. We demand answers now. And there's plenty more of us than there are you. We demand an independent, transparent investigation into Virginia Giuffre's death. And not by somebody in the media, not by a Geraldo type. No. Not 60 Minutes. Not the very people who work for the very people who killed her. We demand that every record, every communication, every associate be under the microscope and examined. Because if they can silence her, they can silence anyone. They can silence you. Virginia Giuffre was a warrior, and I use that word. And around this house, that's a very important word. She was a survivor, she was a mother, and she deserves better. And we're not going to forget it. I'm going to tell you right now, we're not going to forget it. We'll tell you when we're done with him, okay? We don't give a rat's ass about NFL drafts. We don't care about this. We don't care about Ben Affleck and whether he stopped drinking or whatever, or whoever is rocking a bikini. And I don't know who cares about that. We will not let her story end this way. We're not going to allow her to be written off as another tragic accident, some nutcase, while the real criminals sip champagne and plan their next move and their next target. This fight is even bigger than ever. Bigger. And it's also bigger than her. It's bigger than Epstein. It's about the right to truth. It's about the right to justice. And it's about the right for us to say, we're done with this investigation now, or we're not. It's about whether or not America still has the guts to stand up against monsters, and I use that term carefully, monsters hiding behind their money and their power and their media mouthpieces. So I want you to stay awake and stay furious and stay vigilant and stay ready and stay prepared. Arm yourself with the truth, because the truth is there and it will not be buried with Virginia Giuffre. Not if we have anything to say about it. This is not a joke. This is not me just trying to say, let me just rattle off and feign being upset. This is dead serious. I'm dead serious. Emphasis on the word dead. So do me a favor, my friend, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Did you know that like 70-80% of the people who watch my videos don't subscribe or find themselves unsubscribed later on? That's interesting. Whatever you do, look at the questions that I posed, answer them or answer yours at your own, and comment as you see fit.